know that people will complain if we get done too early, but so I'm going to give you, have you found worksheet number 1? I have no idea where it is in your handout, but it's there.
One page back.
So if you reread or read through that application or that worksheet to get an idea, my foundation chair in my district wrote this several years ago, and they used last names from all the past district governors, which it was Teresa Lindley, had been a member of the Anytown Sunrise Rotary Club for 20 years. I thought, well, that doesn't need to be in there. So I took out all the personal identifiers there.
Except Brandy Trump, you put her in there.
Well, that's Ohio. Can't shortchange Ohio. I have no idea what Arch's wife's name was.
I wonder if she's from yeah,
What was his favorite musical
must be
instrument?
a long lost cousin.
What was his classification?
Turning chair.
Good guess, but no, he was a lumberman. And he played in the, is it Cleveland that he was from, or Cincinnati? Cleveland. Played the Cleveland Symphonic Orchestra. I think he played clarinet. This is before my time. I want to make sure that's clear. So, have you had a chance to read through this? So, Teresa's passion is this mother and child shelter, clinic and shelter. Mothers can get free medical care. She ran into another volunteer, Paula Harris, found out they're both Rotarians in different clubs. Paula actually started in Rotary in Ireland. Bless her heart. My wife's Irish. We have to go every year. Paula was actually a Rotarian in Ireland before she moved to the States. She joined another Rotary club nearby. Didn't realize there were any other Rotary clubs. Isn't that convenient? Does your club talk about the other Rotary clubs?
Talk bad about it. I mean.
So the clinic's in need of donations. She took 4 members from a Rotary club to meet with the clinic administrator, found out they need a new exam room. An office can be converted, but they still need $22,000 worth of furnishings, exam table, diagnostic equipment, sterilizer. Talked to the road club president, she's eager to help. The clubs are interested, the members are interested. Then, of course, he talked to the treasurer. Then, yeah, we can put in $1,000. But Annie's resourceful, so she says, let's go talk to the district governor-elect. I left your name out of it too, Mark. So the DGE was very impressed by the passion, told them about the Rotary Foundation's grant programs, and offered them several ways to approach the project. What kind of ideas could the governor-elect have suggested? Partner? He's going to partner with them?
I like to partner with other clubs.
There you go. All right.
And either alone or in partnership, they can match, they can apply for district matching.
Okay.
They buy the equipment,
Biggest grant last year was $5,000. How are they going to come up with 20?
Do a fundraiser.
Do a fundraiser. There you go.
Global grant.
Global grant.
She's from Ireland, right, so she can get it.
Yeah, what's the minimum size? 30 if funded 100% by the district. 45 if it's being funded with cash for a global grant. I have a hunch that if you went back and talked to that clinic administrator and said, what if we could give you more money? Are there other things you'd like to do? That probably she thought 20 was all they could come up with. They're rich Rotarians, they can come up with 20,000. But now you go back and say, how about if we could give you $50,000? What would you do? And start working off of that. Now you're in global grant territory, and maybe you can get the district to kick in some money. Have Paula O'Harris talk to her Rotary Club and her Rotary district back in Ireland. Ireland is one district, so talk to all the clubs in Ireland. They may want to help those poor Americans. You know, they really do look down upon us and pity us a little bit. They sent us all of their poor and their refugees for hundreds of years, and now they're sitting pretty. Well, there's, yeah. We have, some districts will approach this, that many clubs could partner up. You might get 10 clubs that all think this is worthwhile. And the 10 clubs each want to put $1,000 into it. And your district might match each of those 10s $1,000. We've had issues like that come up from time to time. Again, it takes a lot of communication between your clubs and the district. You might find out that your local Walmart store or some other like that has a foundation that they're willing to give to local places that need. Every year we have Rotary clubs in rural Missouri that are putting in $1,000 here, $2,000 here. I don't know where it's coming from, whether it's a Walmart foundation or whether it's Walmart employees putting in money or where, but we see it happen time after time after time. So you may be able to get some additional funding from other organizations that you might not think about. When we talked about global grant being a possibility, if we raise the budget a little bit, this certainly falls into an area of focus, maternal and child health. It would have to be bigger. Teresa or Annie would want to talk to the district foundation chair, the district grants chair. If it's a global grant, the district global grants chair. Do you know who your district global grant chair is? It's back there in the corner. So coordinate with them. And again, Paula will want to talk to her friends back home in her old club in Ireland and do the same conversation. Not only the club putting in some money, but maybe the district putting in some money. Yes?
So if you have 10 groups get together, each for $1,000 grant, are we talking about 10 separate applications, or is there a method of aggregating?
That's really up to your district to administer, but oftentimes I see it done with one application and multiple signature pages, where each club president or president-elect is signing their approval to put in $1,000 from their club. And so you'll end up with one project description and invoices and budget and all that, and then you'll have multiple pages of signatures agreeing that they're going to participate.
We might also have all 10 sign MOU.
Oh yeah, they'll have to. Yeah. Each of the clubs should sign an MOU. Technically, only the club that actually is handling the money would have to, but it'd be good practice to have all the clubs president-elect sign the MOU. Yes?
Does this clinic have the ability to pay the maintenance contract on a state-of-the-art digital imaging contract, or can we budget that into the project?
That actually could be budgeted into the project. We've done that before, even on water well projects. So like a 3-year maintenance contract or something like that. But the organization, if you're buying a sophisticated piece of equipment, the organization should include a letter saying, you know, we are really happy that these Rotary clubs are helping us with this project, and especially buying this, you know, Doppler ultrasonic whiz-bang machine. And we're going to be able to have in our budget the funds to manage and operate this machine. So that the first time I bought an ambulance for, I can't remember if it was India or Africa, and I got an email back from Evanston, and they said, do they have a licensed driver? Do they have a secure place to park the vehicle? They said, you'd be surprised how many tires disappear, how many engines disappear. First time I built a well that required a generator to run the pump, I found out that my friends, my partners in Africa were a lot smarter than I was. They put the pump in, and then they built the building around it so the door was smaller than the pump. Because they can take the building apart if they need a new pump, but they don't want it to walk off at night. It's like that kind of thing. We need to think about that. So we need to make sure they know how to maintain the equipment. It's a good question. Excellent. There's another one over here somewhere?
I was saying.
Okay, thank you. Sustainability would come from training on the equipment so that they now have expanded their ability to handle more people. They have expanded their ability to do more procedures, things that they had to refer out before the people just couldn't get, now they can do that. So these are all things to consider, whether you fund it through multiple clubs teaming up on a district grant project and doing it that way, or even multiple clubs teaming up on a global grant project, as well as a district or two. I was telling Frank earlier, some of my early grants, John Germ is from our zone, from your zone. You can have him. He's a nice guy, but I'm glad he's not in my zone. He creates work wherever he goes for me. And one of the first jobs he did was when he was director of Rotary, and he got all of the governors-elect in the room, like the new presidents of international like to do with the district governors-elect that Mark can talk about. They said, I want all 26 of your districts to do a grant project next year together. And then he said, and Todd's going to write it. And back then there was no Rotary.org or grant application tool. It was I had to get signatures from 26 district governors and 26 foundation chairs on paper. And then scanned and emailed or faxed or whatever. So 52 signatures, plus the 2 from overseas, wherever we were doing the project. And naturally, you're doing this 2 or 3 months after Zone Institute, and the foundation chairs weren't at Zone Institute. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. Why should I sign this giving you money? And so I was thanking John all year long for that. Wonderful guy, though. Wonderful guy. You talk to him, he's probably got a bottle of whiskey he wants to sell you.
The same bottle over and over.
I've only bought 2. My aunt from Ireland drank one of them. She's like,
Can I throw something out?
please.
You know, some of you clubs, some of the clubs put in more than one grant request.
Yeah.
What I would say is, when you send those in, prioritize them.
Yeah.
Because you might not get all of your grants.
Yeah.
Right?
So put in number 1, number 2.
It's hard for us to know which ones you really, really want to do versus a nice to do if you get the money to do it. Okay? So if you do multiple requests, please do that.
Excellent. So let's go on to worksheet number 2. This is a little bit more involved because it actually involves filling out an application and then also filing a final report. But read through this. Just a little story. This has got just about everything that can go wrong in it. paragraph 2. Well, I can't go where you go. Probably a lot of people. Alrighty. Well, sounds like a fun project. And then immediately after that page of description comes the application that I have filled in best I could using the data from that little scenario. And the whole idea here is, of course, let's find the problems. And then we'll look at the final report. But let's look at the application here first. So let's figure out what are the problems with this application. Anybody?
The training.
Well, yeah, nobody got trained.
They made the check out to the shelter.
Yeah.
President.
They didn't spend all of it.
The start date are the same.
That's not, yeah, that doesn't, it's nice. Doesn't pertain to the project at all.
Start and end date is.
President elect.
Yeah. Well, the start and end date are easy to be the same if they didn't actually do the project, but instead they just showed up with a check for a picture. And so that's part of the issues there.
Are we allowed to do projects for animals?
Yeah, with a district grant, it does not have to meet one of the 6 areas of focus. It has to be approved by your district. So if this was approved by the district, then yes, it could be done. Really, the club didn't take part in designing the project. It sounded to me like somebody showed up and gave a program, and then afterwards the president-elect said, "Hey, hang on, we might be able to give you some money. How could we help you?" And they came up with the idea themselves without involving the club.
They also forgot to put, they just gave them a rotary wheel, they didn't say the Rotary Club of.
Yep, exactly.
There's this nagging $1.44.
Yeah.
The member, not the club, right?
The member needs to put that down, or they need to put that down in the final report so that the income and the outgo match.
That's why you're signed by the treasurer.
Treasurer signs the MOU. So, it's just one thing after another. You know, first the president-elect did not attend a training seminar and did not, you know, the grant writer, not even sure she was a contact, was she? No, she wasn't a contact. Somebody else, Janie Catperson, was a contact. She didn't attend the grant seminar. Andy Twitter was roped into it. He didn't attend the grant seminar. The check needs to be written to the club, the club needs to take it and buy the stuff and have it delivered, not giving it to the beneficiary organization. There's just, you know, it's one thing after another.
Turned in the originals of everything.
Sure. Your district requires a little foundation summary at the bottom of page 1 or page 3, talking about your club's history in giving. Some districts really use that as a decision-making process, If clubs have only been doing half of what they've been asked to do for the last 20 years, that might affect whether the district wants to fund a grant or not. I don't know. They're asking for that information for a reason.
We'd be looking at that.
Yeah, I would. I've also used the district grant as a bribe, though, I gotta confess. We had a club that for like 10 years straight had never given a dime to the Rotary Foundation. And I went down to give a Rotary talk to them, and they said, we like to keep our money local. I'm like, well, would you like another $1,000? And they bit. And I helped them write the application, and it was, I don't know, $1,000 for bleachers at their softball field or something. But it's a project they wanted to do. And I made a big deal of taking the check down there to them and presenting it to them and walking them through the steps of buying the equipment. I said, well, you know, all that money came from the Rotary Foundation. Yeah, I was helpless. They started giving, a little bit anyway. But whatever it takes to get the giving up was my main goal. But absolutely, it comes into play. How can we give you money to spend on projects, and your club is not even helping us to raise the money?
Now, there's a very glaring, my middle initial is A, not B. They didn't even take the time to learn my name. So
My
I'm not signing off.
gosh.
I'm not signing off on their application.
Was that on the original application too?
My name was Mud. Yeah.
Your name was Eric.
Eric.
So it's not just Greg's phone number,
Something because I tried to do, but whatever.
but did they spell Megalatini right? My gosh. He says it's A. You got the hard part, yeah. A stands for Antofagasta. Okay. So as we mentioned, the start date and the stop date should not be the same. Also, they have to be after the club project was approved and funded. They didn't talk about community impact. I mean, yes, they are helping an organization that needs it, but is it, what is the community impact? As we said, it can't just be a Rotary wheel to sign up on the wall. What does that mean? Is the whole shelter run by Rotary? Should be the Rotary Club of every town also on that. They got to put down a number when they're filing their final report. They put down how many Rotarians participated, all of us. How many non-Rotarians benefited, the whole town. Needs to be specific here. There was no cooperating organization. There was a beneficiary organization, so on the part about cooperating organization, they could just put does not apply. They should list down there the extra $1.44 and where it came from so that their income matches their expenses. These are all just little things, and they're very simple. And they're things that now we know that we can watch for and we can do well with it. And of course, your president-elect needs to actually sign it. Nobody signed this one. And so the president-elect, or the current president, when the project's being done, the current president will sign that.
I have a question.
Please.
So I know excluding money that's spent over international, do we have to use the money within the geographic boundaries of our own district?
No.
No.
So
So,
it's up to your district, but no.
okay.
Rotarians need to do the project, though.
Right. No, I understand.
My club is doing a district grant-funded project this year in Rwanda. We had a fella show up back in July at our club. He's a seminary student at a local seminary. He's from Rwanda. He said, I'm the past president of the Rotary Club of Mount I can never say it. Kigaska. And after a couple of times of coming and visiting, we said, hey, tell us about your club next week. We'd like to hear. And so their club's a new club, 3 or 4 years old. One of their projects, they're young. He's young, he's, I don't know, 35, 30. He's getting his PhD at the seminary. And one of the things they did is they adopted this grade school. And it's a grade school of about 5,000 students. They're in a fairly good-sized town, but about half the students come in from rural villages, and they walk 5 to 10 miles, 5 miles, I'd say in the morning, 5 miles back in the evening. Electricity in town, no electricity in the villages. So typically, the kids that live in town that have electricity can study at night, and they can do better on tests, which they have to pass to go to high school, which they have to pass to go to college. So if you live in a village and you have no electricity, you're going to do more poorly, you're more apt to do poorly on these tests, and so you may drop out of grade school because there's no point. You're never going to get through those tests in high school. So his club started buying solar lanterns, $6. And they would give a couple hundred of those out to the rural kids every year. But you don't want to just give them something, you want to bargain with them. And so they would also buy fruit trees. Turns out that if you live in a rural village, you don't have fruit. Your parents are growing something that you need to eat, that they can maybe sell in a market, and nothing else. So maybe some cows, goats, something like that, some maize, cassava, no fruit. So a lot of deficiencies. And so they would plant a fruit tree at the school for every lantern. And the child that got a lantern has a responsibility to care for that fruit tree. And then the school starts incorporating the fruit. And I think patience is required because the fruit trees I saw were about this tall. But eventually there's going to be fruit, and they're going to incorporate that in the school menu. The kids are going to learn about fruit and how it's important, what it does with our bodies. Eventually they have a dream of starting to plant fruit trees in the villages as well, and having the parents learn about fruit and how it should be part of their diet. Instantly, before he could finish his club program about the solar lanterns, we had members saying, well, how about if we helped and bought more solar lanterns? And then they said, well, what else could we do? And I said, okay, Ernest, if your budget, forget about your budget, tell us what you really need to be doing. And he got their club president to write me, and he says, well, you know, we have 2 months of dry spell where there is no water. And so we would like to install guttering at the school, along with 2 10,000-liter water tanks to collect that water so that we'll have enough water to get us through the dry spell. And then we're going to buy the fruit trees and the solar lanterns. And so we're still in the midst of this. I got there's $7,000. So our club, we only get 1,000, and our club puts in 1,000. We want to do the whole project. So I wrote to 5 or 6 clubs in my district, told them about the project, and by gosh, they stepped forward. And so we came up with all the money. Our district agreed to give us $2,000 because we got $5,000 more from these other clubs. And so we got all the money, and we wired it to Rwanda. And then a couple of weeks later, I start thinking about Nigeria scams and wondering, is anything's ever going to get done? And I don't hear anything. And that was in November. And so I wrote him about the 25th or 6th of December and say, President Jules, any work being done? What can you tell us about our project? I need to talk to these other club presidents and let them know how their money's being used. Well, he posted, there's a Flickr account that he has. He had like 200 pictures up there of the Rotarians rolling these water tanks up on concrete platforms, of guys on ladders made of tree limbs tied together with rope, with little TIG welders up there welding the gutters into place. And fruit trees, 300 fruit trees. And all the Rotarians and the headmasters and the kids and the mayor of the town, they're all out there planting these fruit trees. And the only missing part so far are the solar lanterns, and that was supposed to be done in January. And I sent off an email, and I'm still waiting. And of course, there's those receipts. I gotta get those receipts. But they're very good about emailing. And they sent us pro forma invoices where they went to the tree vendors, and they got little notes written out where they're buying so many cassavas and so many nut trees and so many this and that, and fruits that I've never heard of. They got invoices from the solar lantern provider, from the rainwater collection system people, all of those. And so those were scanned and emailed over in just a couple of days. So I have full confidence this is going to be done. And we've got 4 local Rotary clubs as well as a Rotary club there in Rwanda working on it. And so it's a neat project. We're posting it on our website. And we got that Flickr account so people can go up and see all those pictures. It's a neat way to publicize it. I post it on Facebook and gets shared by other people, so it goes out to a lot of people. So that's the kind of thing we can do. Even with these district grant funds, you can do small international projects. Needs to be done by a Rotarian. In this case, we were happy to have a club of young, eager Rotarians there in Rwanda who would have been better, maybe, if one of our Rotarians could have gone and actually done it. But maybe that's not better. Maybe it's better for their local people to be seen out doing stuff, doing big. And it's a young club. Who knows what kind of resources these people, they put about $300 or $400 into the project. And all of it was in, gravel and concrete and small things that were affordable for them. And then they had to show up and plant 300 trees, which I would not want to do myself. So I'm happy to have these people in there doing the work. It's really good. Not in a district grant. Not in a district grant. In a global grant they could. You could actually fund travel expenses for a vocational travel team. So and that could be either through a global grant or a district grant. And of course, if it's done through a district grant, it has to be done in cooperation with your district, deciding that they want to fund a vocational training team and that they have the budget for it. There's a lot of ifs and all that. Well, folks, my job with the Rotary is as an endowment major gifts advisor. I used to do this grant stuff in a former life. I still do a lot of it. Your district agreed to pay my expenses to come here and come to your district and share this information. And I said, well, if you got me in front of a couple of clubs to give an endowment talk about the endowment fund of the Rotary Foundation, then my department up in Evanston will cover my expenses, or at least 99% of them. And so Frank was able to get me in front of the Miamisburg Club this morning. Tomorrow morning I'm going to talk to the Greater Harrison Club. If I can find that. I understand if I go to Indiana, I've gone one stop too far. So I'm driving down to Sharonville tonight, stay there, drive over there first thing in the morning and talk to them. But that allows my expenses to be covered by the Rotary Foundation. I only felt it fair that I share that legacy brochure with you because that's all about the endowment fund. I love the Rotary Foundation. I started early on that, supporting it when my club didn't support it, but I really like endowment funds better. I like this concept of donating the money and then having a little bit come off every year, forever, to help fund more projects. So if any of my friends pass away, you're not going to get any flowers. But a check will go to the Rotary Foundation, which if you send a memorial check to the Rotary Foundation, their default setting is annual fund. So I have to fill out a form and put endowment fund share. So that every year, a little bit of that is going to come back and help us fund more projects in memory of that person. We hope that you'll like the foundation enough that not only will you support it at $100 per member on average in your club, and maybe a few of you have the ability and the interest and the desire to become Paul Harris Society members by giving $1,000 a year, a lot of people can't do that. It's nice if you can, it's wonderful if you can. Thank you, certainly, if you can do that. But perhaps you have some other assets that you could assign a portion of those to the Rotary Foundation, to the endowment fund / share would be excellent, so that a little bit of the earnings every year are going to come back and help your district forever fund more scholarships and grants. Oftentimes this is something like a Rotarian saying 5% of my IRAs, or 5%, and I'm just putting 5%, you could put 100% if you like, but 5% of the insurance policy that your parents bought when you were born. I have that happen more times than not, that their parents somehow, I'm thinking, what were my parents doing? But somehow their parents bought a $100,000 life insurance policy, it's all paid for, and their kids are grown, got great jobs, they don't need the funds, their house is paid for. They said, let's put $25,000 to the Rotary Foundation. So, I don't know what your situation is. I meet with Rotarians all the time that's saying, hey, I kind of want to just put all my money into an annuity and get some money back on a regular basis. The Rotary Foundation's got the best deal going. We have non-Rotarians buying types of annuities through the Rotary Foundation because the foundation pays the expenses. And if they do it through their own people, there's an annual expense to maintaining those types of things. So whatever type of thing, and again, I'm a dentist, so I'm the last person to give you financial planning advice, but we have experts at the Rotary Foundation that can do that. And they have some really great ideas that'll help you with your taxes and help make sure that the funds go to what you want it to go to. And that's why I work with our foundation on a free basis. Sometimes they fly me to Ohio, and oftentimes they don't. So think about that. That legacy brochure has a little form on there. Frank has a word he wants to
I just
add.
wanted to say, I mentioned I just got this job July 1st, but it was kind of interesting on the funds that came back to our district. Believe it or not, we actually have an endowment fund. Someone some years ago sent an endowment fund to Rotary, and it was endowment share. And just to give you a feel, we actually got $6,000 of earnings credited to our account, which gave us $3,000 to use as part of the district grant program.
That's Mr. Fox.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Fox.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who he
Germantown
is.
Rotary.
Yeah, but
He's on the report.
so it really works. It's kind of amazing. I didn't realize that from endowment share, our district gets to share in the earnings of that endowment every year. That's pretty wonderful.
So how much of the money that we have that you're giving out in grants, possibly giving out in grants?
It'll probably be right around 40 in district grants this coming year. That's an estimate. We try to provide for some extra funds, maybe we would take 10% off of that, maybe it's 36, maybe it's 38, but it's going to be right around that area. Just slightly more than last year. Last year we were able to do 37, so it could easily be 38 or 39 this year. I'd like to say thank you very much to Todd. The district actually gave us a budget to do this, and because he was able to speak at Williamsburg at noon today and Greater Harris in the morning, we still have that budget available to do other things for the rest of this particular fiscal year. So it's kind of unique. I didn't realize that was possible, so that was a very nice surprise.
Happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of Miami Rotary Club speaking today. That was nice as well. Eric had to run out. I'm Brian Yakeley. I'm the president-elect. There is extra pizza over here. If anybody wants pizza to go, it's provided by Ron's Pizza, which is local here in town. And thanks for coming out. Have a good night.
Thank you all.